Hi everyone, so welcome to, sorry, welcome to another academic video. And this one is how to cope with cancelling a class when you've been ill. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Caroline. I'm a UK-based physics university lecturer. I usually sound a little bit less kind of squeaky and croaky. I'm just coming off the back end of the classic winter. Is it flu? Is it some kind of cold? Some kind of bug that's going around? I don't know what it was, but it gave me a fever for a couple of days, the classic high temperatures, sore throat, just feeling very rubbish and needing to sleep. However, it hit during the last week of semester, actually the last 2 days of term before we broke up for the winter vacation, which meant that I needed to cancel a lecture class. So this wasn't the video I'd planned to make, but I thought I'd share actually what that looked like in case you ever need to cancel one of your classes at the last minute. So for me, I woke up on Thursday morning, I felt quite rough, but I was like, okay, I'll just keep going about my day and maybe I'll feel better as the day went on. And by lunchtime, it was pretty apparent that I wasn't getting better at that stage. I was probably going into the start of having like a fevery, fluey, whatever this germ happened to be. So in the afternoon, early afternoon, I thought, okay, well, what am I going to have to do on Friday in terms of my university teaching, and am I going to be able to do it? So I look obviously at the diaries. It was actually the very, very last day of our semester before we break for the winter vacation. And I was quite annoyed, if I'm honest, because I had the very last lecture with my year one students and we were going to do a festive themed revision lecture. I think it's quite good fun. We do some physics-based revision problems, but they're all kind of linked to the festive season, and it's quite light-hearted and quite jovial, and it's usually a nice way to round off the kind of the module and the lecture series. But I was losing my voice, I was getting a high temperature, and I was thinking, no way will students want to be getting these germs from me, and actually I'm not sure I can stand at the front of the classroom and give this lecture. So the first thing I did on Thursday afternoon was to alert and warn the relevant other academics that I might not be able to deliver my class the next day. So I emailed the year one module coordinator, so the module lead for our year one students. I emailed the person I co-teach the module with, and I emailed another one of the year one lecturers, alongside one of the students who is scheduled to come in and help me on that day demonstrate some of those problems. So I emailed that group of people and said, you know, just a heads up, I'm feeling a bit ropey. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to make it in to do my lecture or not. And then I had to propose what my backup plan was going to be. And in this particular case, I'd actually given this lecture before, and I'd already recorded it before because it had happened during the part of the lockdown and the pandemic when we couldn't obviously give those classes in person. So I've got a recording of that class ready to go. So I said, you know, in the worst case scenario, if I can't make it into the lecture, I will let the students know, I will inform them, and I will cancel it, but I will give the recording online and make it available to the students next week. So that was my kind of Thursday night evening position. And then when I woke up on Friday morning, it had definitely taken hold, the germs and the bugs, and I was definitely feeling a lot worse. You know, shivering, shaking. There was no way the lecture was going to happen. I would not want to give this contamination to anybody else before their Christmas or their festive breaks and holidays after all their studies. So then what I had to do on the Friday morning was to put into plan what I'd kind of suggested on the Thursday. So the first thing I did was email the same group of people, so the year one module lead, my co-teaching colleague and another year one academic, and just say, you know, just to confirm, I am definitely not going to give the lecture this afternoon, but I'm going to go with my plan B of releasing it online and trying to get an alternative revision lecture scheduled for after we come back after the festive break. Then the next thing I did was I went to our module homepage. So each module at my university has its own online homepage. The students can access a notice board on that particular homepage. And I put up a short post very clearly saying class cancelled, explaining a little bit why the class was cancelled, and saying that I was going to make the notes available to the students online the next week. So I did that. I would say I was keeping these messages quite short. I was conscious that I had a fever. I was probably not thinking at my most clear with great clarity at that moment in time. So all these messages were quite short, very polite, but kind of punctual and to the point. So alongside putting up the notice text, it's going to get over me. So alongside putting up the notice on the module page, the next thing I did then was to email all the students. So I can use the module page. There's a quick button I can press that brings up all the students in an email automatically. And basically I cut and copied the same message that I put on the notice board onto the students' emails account. So they've now got an email letting them know that class is cancelled. And if they go to the module page, they can also see that class is cancelled. After that, I asked one of the teachers who was teaching that morning, one of the lecturers who was working in a laboratory class, because they were going to see the same group of students, if they could make an announcement in the laboratory session that the class in the afternoon was cancelled. So I requested that to happen. And actually, I then requested one of the lovely PhD students who was scheduled to help me in that class anyway, because it's like a revision lecture class. I said, would you be able to go to the lecture room at the time the class is scheduled to start? And then you can catch any students that have missed my email or missed the messaging and just let them know that what's happened and that class is cancelled. And she was lovely. And of course she said, yes, that's absolutely fine. So by about 9:10, 9:15 on Friday morning, I'd actioned all those things. I had done the class news kind of highlighted statement. I'd emailed everybody. I tried to put an announcement out in another class, and I had a very kind PhD student who was going to go over to the lecture at the designated time to let people know. So yeah, so about by 9:10, 9:15, I'd made all kind of the official announcements. I think I then went back to sleep. I think by that point that I'd taken up all my little reserve of energy that I had left in that little morning session, and then I kind of, slept, I think, for a good few hours after that. Picking up the story, what I need to do this week is, of course, I now need to make that material available online to the students. So that's something I'm going to be doing either today or tomorrow, is going online and pulling my recorded lecture from another module and putting it into this year's module so the students this year can access that revision lecture content. And the other thing I'm now going to do is to email timetabling and say, hey, I had to miss a class unexpectedly. Is there any opportunity to put an extra class in after we come back, so after the festive winter break? Can I put something into the diary to give the students an extra opportunity to have a revision class before they go into their formal exams? So they're the last two things I need to do. I'm currently in that stage of not feeling dreadful anymore, not feeling completely rubbish, but equally not feeling quite 100% yet. I think it'll take a little bit more time before I feel perfect to get back into lecturing. So at the moment I'm quite pleased that classes have now finished, because it's the end of our semester before the winter break. So now I'm going to do some quiet emailing. I've got a few bits and pieces to sort out regarding future PhD students, so I shall do that. I shall do some literature review reading for students, and basically just take it easy a little bit for the next day or two whilst I defeat the rest, hopefully, of this bug. But anyway, this isn't what I was expecting to post, but I thought I would post it because it is the reality of being a lecturer, especially when you are giving classes in a winter season. There is going to be flu around, there are going to be colds around. You can try really hard to protect yourself from it. And I got all the way to the last week before I succumbed to it. But sometimes things do happen. And I think as lecturers, quite often we really try to keep going in and giving our classes. And sometimes you have to just say, you know what, no, I'm not well enough, I'm not fit enough, this isn't a good idea. I'm actually going to cancel my class. Let me know. Hopefully you're all well, happy and healthy. But have you had to cancel class? What are the protocols at your university? How do you go about doing it? And how do you find the students react when you have to maybe miss a class or postpone a class? Let me know in the comments. I'm off to get more tea and to rest up the voice and do a few more emails. Hopefully I'll be back on Monday next week as normal, with a normal kind of more festive themed end of kind of year lecture type video. But we'll see what happens. Have a really good week. Thank you so much for watching these videos. Do leave me a comment. Do like and subscribe if this is interesting or useful for you. And I will hopefully see you next Monday. Bye.